Hey, everyone. Sorry it's been a while, but I've been busy trying to get things done over the phone, so hectic time. I was going to talk about maidens and why I don't like them. This kind of goes in with damsels in distress. So, yeah, why don't I like maidens? Because I don't like the whole idea of maidens because you're supposedly supposed to be pure of body, pure of heart. I have no problem with pure of heart. Anyone can try to be pure of heart. It's the pure of body thing that has me, because it's like she must be a virgin. I'm like, really? It's not gonna happen, Even back then, there weren't a lot of virgins going around, just because the way society was. Oh, it was just like no one really cared what you were. They just took what they wanted, regardless of what it did to other people. And you think, oh, that's not true. Read a history book. Read on history. Yes, it's true. So I really have a hard time with maidens being used as sacrifices, because it also reams to me of being a very heavy patriarchal society where women a lot of the times were considered lower than slaves, and slaves were bought and sold. That means women were not even worth your money. So yeah, that's kind of where I like. And it's like, can we not pick the women or the girls to be sacrificed to the beast or whatever creatures threatening you or whatever god you're trying to appease? And I'm pretty sure some of the gods, if they were gonna be honest, it's like we're gonna be like, really, another one? A lamb? No, a duck would have been fine. Roasted up, little veggies, a little this, a little sauce. But no, you have to give me a person, and not just a person, another female. It's like, I don't go that way. And trust me, a lot of the Greek and Roman gods did not go, as the term is, straight as an arrow. They kind of. And yes, I talk with my hands. I'm French. So, yeah. And because it seems like it's mostly the patriarchal societies that have this tradition of using women as currency for the gods. That really irks me, because a lot of other societies, and if they weren't heavily patriarchal, even some of the more heavy matriarchal societies really weren't specific in who they're being sacrificed. It was who was the best candidate for the sacrifice. So most of the times it wasn't even a person. It was a animal or a tree or something like that. So yeah. So it's just really, and they talk about maidens and everything, and this kind of goes with the whole thing I get irked about damsels in distress, because yeah, I have a hard time with damsels in distress. Like, you can do this on your own, because most of the time they kind of get themselves in that situation, and like, you're a victim. I'm like, excuse me. Yes, some of them should not have. It's clearly the wrong place, wrong time. But sometimes they like how you want to look at the Little Mermaid. Yes, I was like, don't ruin the little. First of all, I've read the original Hans Christian Andersen, so I know what happens to the Little Mermaid. But she's considered a damsel in distress, the maiden who has to be sacrificed for the happiness of her prince. And she does her own sacrifice, because she's like, that's the only way I can make him happy, is if I give up everything I have in my life. I give up the ocean, I give up my voice, and it feels like I'm walking on knives every time and this proves that the prince is a douchebag. Goes for the other girl, is like, you're not even paying attention to her. And if you read the original, he is a complete another douchebag. But this is how it goes. It's like Little Red Riding Hood. It's like, this for me is like, this is another one where you kind of have the sacrificial maiden going off into the woods because she has to appease whatever things going off in the woods. That's the representation of Big Bad Wolf. And I'm very upset they always use a wolf to be the villain. Sorry. No. I like wolves. But anyway, I'm going to change my camera angle a little bit, so sorry for the movement. It feels like you guys are looking at my nose. But anyway, yeah, she goes in, she's pure and innocent when she goes into the woods. There's been a lot of psychology put into Little Red Riding Hood. And some say this is a sign of her maturing from a girl into a woman because she has a red cloak and all this stuff. I'm like, I didn't see this. I saw her as being used as a way to appease whatever sort of thing was in the woods, which hence is the Big Bad Wolf. Because she's eaten by the wolf along with her grandmother. Because sometimes the elderly is also used in sacrifices in a lot of cultures because they live their life. They're living a good long life. So they're willing to, I'm good, let's go. So they're willing to be sacrificed. But it takes a big, strong woodsman to rescue them from the beast. I'm like, really? It's like, yeah, again, Little Red Riding Hood had to be rescued for doing stuff that a kid would normally do. Like, go pick flowers, kind of forget that mom told you, don't go down that path, stay on the path, don't do the whole shaking the finger at you. But yeah, so I have and I've read several versions of Little Red Riding Hood, so. But yeah, it's just the whole thing is that you have to be pure of body, and that everyone takes that as being pure body means you have to be a virgin. It's like, yeah, no. Let's get rid of the whole pure body. I like the whole pure of heart because you can actually be a pure of heart person, and that's a lot harder to be a pure heart person. That means you're a good, I don't want to say a good person, but you're mindful, you're empathetic of other people. So that's how it works. That's how it works for me anyway, when I think of a pure heart person. But a pure body person, I'm like, no, you can't be pure as people say, as the driven soul. I'm like, I'm from New England, I'm from Vermont. Yeah, like, snow is not that pure. Yeah. So yeah. You can't, like, that completely blows everything out. But yeah, that's a big issue with the whole thing with maidens, is that you just cannot be a pure body person. And if you disagree with me, fine, disagree with me. But that's my view on it, is maidens cannot be pure of body. You can be pure of heart. You can be pure of heart. And I just don't like the idea that it's always the sacrifice in a lot of these stories that we grow up hearing in, especially in America and Europe, is that it's a girl or a young lady are being used as a sacrifice, or they're the damsel in distress. I'm like, and that's why I've never quite liked, Snow White, Cinderella. I've never, even though I've read the originals from Grimm's, still, nope. I lean toward more like the 12 Huntresses, like I said last time, because they're the princess and her ladies in waiting are rescuing the prince and his men. So yeah, I like those ones a little bit better. Yeah, especially for me, reading about Celtic fairy tales and Celtic mythology. There is kind of an even playing field once you get past a lot of the translations, because a lot of the translations were done by monks, and you have the whole thing where unless you're Mary, you're kind of considered, the Virgin Mary, you're kind of considered villainous in a lot of that way. So I was like, really? Unless you're a saint or the Virgin Mary, you're kind of, yeah. So I try to kind of remind myself that a lot of the translations were done by the Catholic Church, so therefore a lot of the women in the translations were villainized. So I was like, okay, let's step back and remember everything I learned about Celtic societies, and then I can get into it. So yeah. So that's one thing I kind of like about the Celtic mythology. I wish I knew, like I said earlier in my earlier videos, I wish I knew more about Native Americans or First Nation mythology, because I think it would have such a good look on everything. But unfortunately, like I said, I'm from New England. We don't have tribal elders to go to. So it's like, but I also like learning about other culture, mythologies, and everything. And I just find it interesting that a lot of them don't play really heavily on the whole maiden and all that. So it's just interesting that most of the stuff we grow up here in America is from Europe, and it's very heavily influenced by the Greek and the Roman societies. And we can't keep doing that, basing all our culture going forward on a society where women were considered so below everything. They were below slaves. And like I said earlier, because slaves cost money, women didn't cost you a thing. It's like your wife didn't cost you anything. You're actually paid to take her. The whole thing of dowry. So yeah, that irks me. And considering, especially, you look at the Greeks, and one of their gods of war is Athena. And we're told women are irrational, they're too emotional. If you look at the whole history of Athena, she was not the irrational, emotional warrior. That was for Ares. He was over emotional, irrational. He went into battle by the. He didn't think twice. He didn't think of a strategy. He just went boom. Yeah, I want to punch people. Where Athena took the time, worked up a strategy, worked out the best defense, offense, everything. Her symbol was an owl, bird of wisdom, which I kind of agree with on some things. So yeah, you can't be taken where you have some cultures where they only nitpick certain female women to celebrate, because like there must have been one woman who was like, I can prove that I am smarter than a man, and she had to live by this. She had to say, I don't have a man, I don't sleep with a man, I don't do this, I don't. Queen Elizabeth I had to keep such a pure profile in history. She couldn't get married, everyone in the court was telling her, get married, get married. She's like, no, if I get married, I have no ruling power. She proved herself right on that one. Because in her whole reign, I'm not saying she's the best ruler in history, but she proved it by saying, I'm not marrying any man. I'm not giving up my kingdom to any man. So yeah, she kept England English. She didn't marry anyone from another country. She kept it English, which is kind of, I not necessarily wrong, but kind of like, England is not that English if you look at the history. But again, America is not that American, so. So yeah. So my whole idea of when you start talking about maidens, I start going, big tangent. Why not? So yeah, for me, the whole idea of maidens comes from a very archaic and patriarchal look on women, and how we as women are less than. So yeah, that's why I have a hard time with maidens and damsels in distress. Like, you have to do things, you have to prove. I'm like, why? Because you automatically don't have guys prove everything the same way we have to prove everything. So yeah, so that's kind of where I'm gonna leave it for now. I'm hoping that next time maybe I'll pick a story, kind of go into that, give my own opinion on it, see how it goes from there. Hope everyone enjoys it, and I'll see you again, guys, next time. Oh, and hope everyone's safe and doing well, because I think we're all going a little the more quarantine goes and everything. But please stay safe and well.